Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing very well. This is week 7 out of 15 weeks. Things are moving right along, lickety split, way too fast. You'll see I'm looking worse for wear when you get to my video section. This is just a fast introduction section. It's a bit more casual, as you can say. Today we are going to be talking about online conference platforms and looking at a closer look at 3 in particular: Zoom, which I think you're more familiar with, WebEx, and Kaltura. Now, Zoom we know as a basic consumer meeting product. It's for the basic consumer, the average customer. WebEx was designed for corporations, for large companies in particular, so it has different tools and it's built in a different way. And Kaltura was built with education in mind. That's what they're more concerned with, and that's how they're built up to be. They're built up for teaching, and for teaching students in particular. So it is interesting to see how they are different. And in other news, we are back online for the rest of the semester. We'll talk in more detail what we're going to do on the back end, the second half of the semester. We'll have a more in-depth thing in a little bit, and especially next week. But nothing too stressful to worry about. Just one big project, then one small project of evaluations. But anyways, starting to get your experiential evaluations, your after-action reports about the VR headset process. And this might sound a bit terrible, but I love reading your honest feelings, your honest opinions on the practicality of it, on what it could be used for, what it shouldn't be used for, all these wonderful things. Some actual thought put into it. And that's great. Some really great stuff. Hello, everybody. Life goes on indeed. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to demonstrate some of the benefits and hardships and how different things work with different online conference platforms. We're going to start with Zoom. I think this is the one you're most familiar with. But we can see I'm the host right now on the desktop computer. And on the screen also, there are 2 people in the waiting room. That is 2 other devices. And right now what they're seeing is a blank screen. Now, also, we have some different things. Now, before we get too far ahead, notice there's a chat. The chat function is nice. Let's get people admitting. And there I am twice, and there I am thrice. So everything, and this is very important. This happens if we're not muted, and it sounds terrible. So that's the thing. I just found out you cannot entirely mute the volume on the iPad with the Zoom. So I learned that. That's nice. So we've got that, and we've got that. So for this class, just for purposes, we're going to do some editing here. We're going to walk over some of the different functions that we have. And with that, now for chat, you might notice that we can send individual messages to each participant. And that is, so there's direct chats, and that will pop up as well. So that's nice for individual feedback. So let's see how some of these different things can work and how it can help us. Now, the first thing that's quite helpful is the share screen. With share screen on Zoom, we can share a lot of different things with it. Portion of screen, content from second camera for for paper. If you have that set up, using your PowerPoint as your virtual background, which can be nice, be like you're displaying the weather. But let's use this PDF. So here is an example. All right. So this is a research paper. And the nice thing is about annotations. We're able to circle and underline and draw pictures. We're able to give stamps. We're able to write texts of note. And of course, we're able to clear everything else very well. Something that's very helpful for following along, especially over Zoom, when people, we have this, a lot of words here, and the highlighter function is very helpful. So that's nice. That's a nice thing. Now, breakout rooms. This is something that can be quite nice, but it's also it can be frustrating as well. With Zoom, we create a breakout room. Now, the two guests are going to go into the breakout room for a private talk. And they need to join manually, which is what we're doing now. So on my main screen, I'm by myself, and I can only chat by myself. But the two students, they are with each other in pure Galaxy Infinity mode. So students can do small group work by themselves, which is nice. But jumping into the different rooms can be cumbersome, and it's difficult to monitor students when they're in different breakout rooms. Now, 1 or 2, that's pretty okay, but if you're having, as I've had in the past, 8 or 9 breakout rooms, that's a lot to manage, and it's hard. Now, I can send text, and everyone can get the text, but they can't respond. But yes, I see they cannot respond to that text. So I can send a message, for example, saying, be ready in 1 minute. But they can't respond to that. I need to go in and join. Take some time. Takes a lot of time. And now we're in the breakout room, but it takes time as well. So everything takes time, and and those seconds can add up quite easily. We leave the room, and this is very important. Leave breakout room, leave meeting, end meeting for all. If you're wanting to quit the breakout room, just get everybody back into the main room. Press the blue button. Don't press leave meeting. That quits the Zoom meeting, and you need to start all over. So leave breakout room. That's important. Don't mess that up. I've done that multiple times. There we go. And then we have to jump back in to the main session. Something that's a bit frustrating, the format, the user interface, the UI for each device is a little bit different. So on desktop, it looks different. But on iPad, it also looks different. And on Android, it also looks different. So it's something that can be cumbersome to understand. SpaghettiOs. That is a good example. I brought myself out, the host, out of the out of the breakout room, but not everyone else. So I was theoretically talking to myself the whole time. Not and so it's something to watch out for. So let's try this again. So we can have reactions. We can make our own reactions. And as we make our own reactions, you can see them pop up over the person who made them. So it's something that can be nice. Now, something that's a bit more difficult, so to speak, is that with Zoom, we have sharing screen, but sharing files is a little more difficult, and this is also less secure. So students don't have their own copies to look around with. Now, there are options for only host to share, but also all participants can share. So it's only the host or everybody, which is maybe you want two people. So it's something that can be concerned with. Now, this is the basics of Zoom. So let's take another look at another platform. We end meeting for all. Now, another format we can see is called WebEx. This is made by Cisco. Zoom is one company, and Cisco is a very big IT company. Now, obviously, the basic function is going to be the same. But WebEx, it has some benefits. One, it's much more secure. It's a lot more secure. This has benefits, but I can't show you a meeting like I did with Zoom for a couple of reasons. One, you have to have a personalized account to use WebEx. WebEx is a much more secure platform. They vet people. They check on accounts. You might have heard stories about people crashing into Zoom classes and being bad. WebEx, you can't do that because you have to have a real name. You have to have a real name account. So companies use WebEx. Companies can't use Zoom because they're talking about things. And WebEx is also nice because it has a much more controlled memory and server collection, in that companies and hosts have a lot more control of their data, and that's quite important. Now, this still has the nice happy reactions and things like that, and has breakout sessions as well, and it has the chat, which is nice, all very quite functional and useful. The breakout sections are a bit more smooth in my experience than with Zoom, but it works well enough. Now, for sharing things, for sharing your screen with WebEx, it takes a bit of time, but it does come up, and it is it's helpful. It's the same basic format. You can clearly see we've got the toolbar on the top. We've got things to write with, and we've got arrows. But a nice thing about WebEx, is that you can give the other participants in the meeting the ability to annotate, as in to leave their own messages. So you can see this yellow arrow has my name on it, and other participants, they put an arrow, you'll have their name on it, so you can keep track of who is marking what, who is talking about what. And if you're talking about a large document, like say this PDF, then it's nice to know who's keeping track and who's keeping notes. So in this regards, WebEx is much nicer than than Zoom in that it allows more collaboration. Because WebEx wasn't designed for education, as in top-down education, teacher to students. It was designed for collaboration, mostly workshops with professional adults, and that's a different kind of audience. And it's a benefit, it's a strength, but also a weakness of the platform. Another platform I've used is called Kaltura, Kaltuar, Kaltura. It is designed much more with education in mind and also being able to share things much easier. This platform doesn't use screen sharing in the same way that Zoom or WebEx does, but rather you have to upload PDFs, upload your material to the server, and then you can view it together. So we can see here, and also this is quite important, you'll notice that on the screen there's already marks, there's already annotations. That's because I've already taught this. They remembered where the annotations were made, and you can see as we go throughout, the annotations are still there, the drawings, everything, they're still there. And so this is something that's quite helpful because you don't need to erase the annotations to go to the next screen. It remembers what you've done. It remembers what you've been doing. And that's a nice thing to have with the class. Now, for this platform also, it's a bit more cumbersome, and I had a lot of technical problems, connecting, sound problems, all those terrible things. So this platform, Kaltura, requires a much more stable connection, and it takes a lot more bandwidth to take care of as well. But this platform remembers everything for a class, and that can be a nice thing. It remembers your chat, it remembers all their parts, and also has a dedicated note function as well. Now, it does have a sharing function, but it's not as good. But it has direct sharing for YouTube, for Whiteboard, which is we can bring it up. This is an active white space to work in, to keep notes as a group. Desktop share, quizzes. But the thing is, of course, you need to create your own quiz, but it has its own platform, its own mechanism for quizzes. And you can see here, now obviously you can't make this in class, but with Kaltura, since everything's saved, you can make it ahead of class to prepare what you're going to do. And we can take care of it. So there's lots of possibilities for Kaltura. Now here's the tricky part. Zoom, the basic account is free, but WebEx and Kaltura, to use it as a host, it costs money. But you do get what you pay for. You get a much better and more specialized environment, or a more secure environment. Zoom is very popular because, one, it is easy to use and it's easy to join, that little children can join without any big deals. But with Kaltura and others, it has more possibilities for a class. Well, there we have it. That is our overview of some video conferencing platforms, some software that you're going to definitely use in the future as a host, not just as a student, but as a host, because it's just how things are nowadays. Most of the classes I teach that are not at Chuncheon National University, they're over Zoom or over WebEx or over Kaltura. I no longer have in-person classes at the moment. Well, I do have one, but that's different. So it is quite a good idea to become more aware of the benefits, the strengths, and the weaknesses of the different platforms, of what can be good for you and what can be good for the students. Kaltura has a lot of strengths as an educational platform, but it does have it had a lot of technical problems, and it still does. It's unstable from the host's point of view, the meeting leader, the teacher, and from the student point of view. So those are factors that can be fixed in the future, but they're factors you have to pay attention to now because that's how things are. Next week, I'm going to introduce our major project. I just want to keep it to one major project, and I think it's quite interesting. Hopefully, it's quite interesting, but it's one major project that I want you to work together in small groups, and you'll be making presentations as best you can over the distances, and then the other teams will evaluate your proposals. And it's time to start being more critical of each other to help each other get better. Because now your third year's and your fourth year next year, and then after that you got the test, and after that you're in the real world, and that's exciting or terrifying or both, really. So, but next week will be all about the major projects because that is what's coming at us. That'll be week 8. I don't want to have a midterm test exactly. I need to get clarification on the grading policy for this semester. I still don't know. So hopefully by next week or the week after, I'll know how we can grade, whether we have to grade on a curve or not. And then that will give us a lot more freedom and predictability on how to move forward for the rest of the semester. But with that, that's all I have to say. Please make sure to check on eClass. I put additional material for you to review or to respond to. This is a voiceover, and once I'm done talking, the video will still run because I need to have it still run for a little while longer. But it will just be ambient sound of me going down a hill on a bicycle. That's all it is. So nothing terribly exciting, it's exciting. It was very fun, but not for you from an educational point of view. As a viewer, it's not that exciting. It was bumpy and fast. Anyways, I hope you have a great week, and we'll see each other again on eClass and next week in video form. Thank you and good luck.